What's up? I'm Coach Dan Blewett. In today's video, we're going to compare the two different types of MaxBP pitching machines. So this is a partnership video between myself and MaxBP, and if you're unfamiliar with the machines, they shoot these little wiffle ball golf balls. It's an awesome training tool if you're a coach and you want to get your hitters more reps, your fielders more reps, you want something for the backyard with the ball player in your life, baseball or softball. This is a really great machine. So we're going to talk about their two different versions and which one might be right for you. All right, so right off the bat, let's talk about the three key differences between these two machines. So only the MaxBP Pro can throw sliders and cutters. Both machines can throw curveballs from right hand and left hand. Only the Pro machine can have the fastest feeding option, which will feed up to 1 ball per second, which is very quick. This one will not go quite as fast. And the third big difference is that the MaxBP Pro machine has a super turbo mode, which is just an extra gear of velocity. So if you really want the fastest possible velocity, this machine is going to have that little bit of extra heat. Both machines can do the pop-up attachment. Both machines have lots of options as far as velocity, feeder speed, all that good stuff. Both have an indicator light to help your hitter know when the next pitch is coming. Both machines are the same size, have the same capacity for the wiffle ball golf balls that they use, and both have this little pull-out tilter on the bottom that allows you to sit on a desk or a chair. So if you're inside of a gym or something and you pull the bleachers out, you could sit either one of these on top of that rather than using a tripod, which you see both of these with tripods that I already own. One of the things I like that MaxBP does is they don't force you to buy a tripod, which I think is a really good thing because a lot of people have them, right? So that's always an option, but you don't have to if you already have a pretty solid tripod. Like I've got cameras and all these things everywhere. All right, let's compare the features through the dials here. So with the original machine, this is the feeder speed, so how fast you want the next pitch to come, on, off, turbo, and then your different pitch types. So fastest, medium, low, soft toss, and then right-handed and left-handed curves. With the Pro machine, you'll see this is the same, this is the same, and then we've got super turbo mode over here. So that's just an extra gear where it's going to go even faster. You've still got the high, medium, low, the lefty curve, righty curves, but down here you've got, you know, your curve control. So if you want to go curveball just the same as the original machine, you stick with curve. And then if you want to go to slider or cutter, you're just going to toggle that way. Another feature, and this is a big difference, is how fast it'll feed balls. So both of them have the feeder speed on each side, but what the Pro machine has is this drop switch, so you can drop 1 or 3. Right now I've got the plugs in, so if you look here, red and red plugs are plugging 2 holes. If I take those off, I'll go into 3 out of 3 mode, and that means this will feed a ball every 1 second, and then I can still adjust how fast it is here. So if you want to go really rapid fire, doing drills for infielders or doing drills for catchers, or really doing like reaction type drills that you want them to feed fast, this is a really good benefit. Next, let's talk about the dimmer switch. So there's a difference here. So the dimmer light here is a bright red, beacon that's going to tell you when the next pitch is coming, so you can time it up. On the Pro machine, you have a dimmer switch that can either turn this completely off in case you want to make the nightmare that is hitting these balls even harder. So a couple things to think about while you're watching me whiff a bunch of these pitches. Number one, I like this machine because a kid can take this to a park, they can do this with their friends, and they can have some autonomous time away from the constant grown-up supervised practices. That's a big deal for me. I want kids to be able to go out and play on their own and practice on their own terms, and I know that's less of a thing nowadays, and so I appreciate tools that give kids some autonomy back. You could buy a big duffel bag, throw this in it with the bats and the other equipment, and you could drop your kid off with a couple buddies at the park or just in any grassy area, and they could hit for hours and hours and make up games and do all sorts of stuff. All right, let's talk about the battery differences for a second. So this is the original machine, and you'll see right here, we're plugged into the external battery, which is just gonna sit on the ground. It comes in this little carrying case. This is not the best solution because it's not built in, but it works just fine. It is what it is. Plugs right in here, and then when you want to charge it, you charge the battery with the power adapter. With the Pro machine, it's a lot cleaner. So as you can see, there is no external battery pack. It's built in, somewhere down below. And for me, especially going out here and doing these videos, It's way more convenient if you're a person who's going to use this on battery power to have it built in rather than have to tag it along. Again, is that a big difference? Is that a big deal? Definitely not, but that is a difference that you might want to consider if you're a person that really likes traveling light and having the smallest footprint possible. All right, now we're going to try hit some sliders. So I'm going to do, this is already on curve. We're on curve down here, slider. All right, let's talk sliders. So if this looks like it's the same pitch as the curveball, it's not. It does have a similar shape. The curveball has a pretty sweeper shape to it. It's not up and down like a 12-6. And the slider has a similar shape, but it's definitely shorter. It's probably half the break size of the curveball. Now these are cutters. You can definitely tell the difference here. They're a lot shorter. They only have a couple inches of break, which is pretty true to a typical cutter. And they're also tough. They just have that little bit of, a little bit of turn towards the end. And of course, the machine can throw these from both left-handed and right-handed versions. You're only seeing righty versions here. And lastly, this is super turbo. I don't think the video really does it justice. I could not sniff this from 45 feet. Now I'm 39, I'm washed up, whatever. And again, this does not do it justice, but this was very, very fast. And yeah, I wasn't even close. Pretty embarrassing if you ask me. So what are my recommendations? If your kid's pretty young, this machine is going to do a lot. And if you want to save some money, this thing is really, 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 really capable. If you want something that you're going to grow into long term, and if the battery thing is a big deal to you, this one has the inbuilt battery, so there's no external battery to carry. You're not going to have to tote this along with you, which is not a big deal, but obviously having it built in is a really elegant solution. And you're never going to outgrow this velocity, and this does have the ability to hit cutters and sliders, which are different than the curveballs. The breaking balls on both machines are very left or right, so the curveball is really more like a sweeper than a true 12-6. It's not a 12-6 at all. And so that's going to be enough for most players just to have the sort of sweeper curveball that's built in with both machines. But if you want to go that extra mile and have cutters, which are definitely different, they're very short, and the sliders, which are very different than the sweeper, you have that option with the Pro machine. So there's more features to grow into. It's a little more elegant design with the battery, but overall both machines are super capable. One thing I will personally recommend as far as tripods, if you don't have a tripod, either get the one that comes from MaxBP, which is pretty robust, or do not buy the cheapest one if you're going to plan on buying one somewhere else. This is like my travel tripod. As you can see, it's carbon fiber. This is like $130. This is really lightweight but very strong. This one is like 50 bucks, very durable, aluminum, a little heavier. This will last me a really long time. But my thing with tripods is if you buy a cheap one, it will break within the first year for sure. Either get one from MaxBP, or if you get your own, don't cheap out, get a mid-range one, probably spend at least 40 bucks and get something that's gonna last so you're not gonna have to buy a second time. So do I recommend this machine? I really do. I owned a baseball academy for 9 years. I sold it in 2019, so I don't work day to day with teams anymore. But when we had our 9 baseball and softball teams, we for sure would have bought these for at least a couple of our teams to travel and practice with. It's just super versatile. You can use it for batting practice, obviously, a lot of different fielding drills. I like the pop-up attachment. That's a really good one. I have a couple other videos that I'll link to below that show some of the drills that I think these are really good for. But also if your kid likes to hit a lot and you don't have space for a real machine in a big backyard cage, with the battery powered options, it's really easy to take these to a field. Like I'm out here in the middle of an open field, no power outlets anywhere in sight. And you could set this up in your backyard. You're not gonna break any windows. And this thing is awesome for learning to bunt too. I mean, it's really, really hard when the speed is jacked up. It's really hard hitting the breaking balls. The thing to remember is that your hitting is not just about your swing mechanics. Swing mechanics, they optimize your chance for success because your barrel is in the zone longer, you get more power, you're shorter and more compact, but there is a large hand-eye coordination component. This is why many of the Latin American players are famous for like hitting bottle caps and pitching sunflower seeds to each other and hitting them with, a stick. This is a machine that is difficult, and if the ball player in your life gets better at hitting these little wiffle balls, they're going to get better on the field at hitting. I mean, it's just a given. So this is not a replacement for live BP or tee work or a real pitching machine. This is its own tool that definitely has its place for teams and for individuals if it's in your price range and it's something that you want to add to your repertoire. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them below. I'm happy to answer, if you have questions about the different machines or drills or any of that stuff on what to do with them. Also, again, use my link below to save 10% using my code Coach Dan, and I'll see you here in the next video.